Okay, I have been wanting to make a video about Shenmue for the last week, but I kept putting it off because there were other stories that piqued my interest. But earlier, I did a video about why I wouldn't support Red Ash, Kenji Inafune's new Kickstarter project. Well, with all the Kickstarter bandwagon going on, let's talk about how two Kickstarter projects are asking for money: the good, the bad, and the ugly. You see, just recently, two Kickstarter campaigns finished up from two pretty famous developers, one of which was a success and the other was a failure, and I want to talk about the differences between them both. You see, the failure project was from Concept, Kenji Inafune's company, who a little while ago had a fully funded campaign for Mighty No. 9, a game that was supposed to be released later this year. And the success was Yu Suzuki, the creator of an amount of games that simply boggled the mind, but probably most famously for Shenmue. His Kickstarter is currently the fastest Kickstarter to reach $1 and $2 million. Now, the similarities between these two Kickstarters are interesting to be put side by side. You see, both developers reached the goals of their first Kickstarter, and now both developers are trying to get more money after reaching those goals. The difference for me, though, is that while I won't support Kenji Inafune's Red Ash Kickstarter, I don't actually mind Yu Suzuki trying to nickel and dime you on PayPal by asking for donations, even though his Kickstarter was a success and had finished. And of course I will explain why. Now, I've said before that Kenji Inafune fucked up a lot with the handling of the Mighty No. 9's public relations, and Kickstarter is very much a public trust farm, something Kenji Inafune is running low on at the moment: public trust. Because people are seeing it as he is trying to milk more people for their money, and the people who supported Mighty No. 9 are not thrilled by this either. And to top things off, it looks like just a few days before the Kickstarter for Red Ash had finished, that the release date for Mighty No. 9 is going to be pushed back into 2016. Now currently this is a rumor, but do not be surprised if it comes into fruition. But doesn't that sound a little bit suspicious, that around the same time that his company gets an influx of new cash, that the game might be pushed back? And then there's the revelation that Red Ash will still be made even though the Kickstarter failed, because they have a publisher now. So it makes you wonder, what was that Kickstarter really for? Now, I may be a fool, after all I do love conspiracies, but it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. And now we have Yu Suzuki with his Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. And immediately after it closed, it was announced that they would still be taking donations through PayPal. Because just like Mighty No. 9's group, they are going to try to squeeze the last bit of money out of you. But unlike Mighty No. 9's group, I actually don't have a problem with Shenmue asking for more money. And that is because this might be Yu Suzuki's last game, and I believe he's trying to do as much with it as he can. And here is a bit of info on how business works. The truth behind this Kickstarter is probably something like Sony would invest so much capital per every million or 500K that they were able to kickstart. So let's say for every 1 million that he could raise on Kickstarter, then he would receive so much investment capital back. So let's say Sony gave him a contract on a 1 to 10 basis, meaning that for every 1 million that they could raise in Kickstarter, they would invest 10 million into the project. So, since production of this game isn't going to start until probably 2016, then that still gives him a little time to scrounge up more funds and try to receive an extra $10 million in budget. Now granted, it's probably not that high, but it makes sense if that is anywhere near the case, and since he has wanted to finish this series since the days of the Dreamcast, I would imagine that he is trying to make sure that he has every dime that he needs to finish this project. Now granted, it hasn't started production yet, And after it does, let's hope that no one at the company says something stupid and pisses off the backers of the project so that we have ourselves another shit show. Kickstarter is a great website, but it can be abused like everything else. The responsibility to protect ourselves falls to the consumer. Now, obviously, I'm not asking you not to support Kickstarter projects, because one day I might actually try to start up my exotic prostitution world tour project. But before supporting a project, it's always good to check on the reputation, if they have one, of the person asking for money, and things like how much they are asking for compared to the product they are trying to make. Anyway, that's it for me, and thank you all for your time. Remember, if you're willing to listen, then I'm willing to share my opinion.